Story 1. It feels like being in a hole, and you are too tired to figure out how to climb to freedom. Story 2. I've always described it as having a shadow fixed to your brain that fuels things like indecision and negativity. The smallest thought can make you spiral downward so badly. It's amazing how much you can put on a brave face and hide it from others. I found I didn't realize how bad I was until I started to get better. For anyone suffering with depression, please get help. It is the best thing I ever did. Story 3. Waking up and looking forward to going back to sleep, because dreams are much better than reality. Story 4. You know, when you were a child and played with toys, you could have endless exciting adventures. But then you started growing up. One day you realized you could still go through the motions, but the joy was gone. Depression is like that, but with everything. Story 5. It feels like everything is a blur and life and time are just passing you by. Story 6. It feels like drifting in a pitch-black void, weightless and without direction, where time blurs and nothing feels solid enough to hold on to. Story 7. You don't really feel anything. No excitement, no matter what you do. Anything negative makes you spiral in a circle of negativity. You don't want to do anything because there is no point. Clean the house? What is the point? Work out? What is the point? Hang out with people? What is the point? You just wake up and go to work because you don't want to be homeless. Story 8. Empty, kind of exhausting, and every day is disappointing. Imagine your favorite thing to do, and then try to do that thing when you are having a bad day and just cannot get into it, but you really want to. It is frustrating, it kind of hurts, and you might feel like all you want to do is lie down and do nothing instead. Just waste away and hope tomorrow will be better. But it is not, and it is that situation on repeat. Sometimes the days are not as bad, while others are so bad that you wish you did not have to wake up ever again. Kind of like that. Story 9. Waking up every day and living the same routine repeatedly. Slowly, you start to burn out. Story 10. Like the screen on your phone dimming when your battery is low and your charger is not working. Like being in a room full of people and feeling alone, isolated, and unable to reach out. The feeling you get when you wake up after a drunken night out and panic about what you did the night before. It feels like the weight on your shoulders and chest is deserved, and you don't have any right to tell people that it is there. Story 11. Like a weighted blanket that is too heavy and that you cannot get rid of. Suffocating, claustrophobic even. Sometimes you can manage to poke your head out from underneath, but the weight is always there. Story 12. Well, imagine losing the pleasure of doing things you love, like playing video games and eating snacks. On the positive side, eating snacks is not healthy, so I did not mind that much, especially after puberty when gaining weight becomes easier. Story 13. When you were at the nightclub in the late 2000s and Stereo Love came on, the only thing you felt was emptiness. Story 14. Go into the living room way too early in the morning and put your favorite show on the television. Now open the blinds so that the sun's glare keeps you from seeing most of the picture. Make sure you sit in a way that is comfortable at first but will definitely cause parts of your body to go numb, yet be too stubborn to move. Over the course of the day, continue to do things like this. Change the air conditioning, get a sandwich that is too dry or too soggy, wear clothes that are a little too scratchy, put on some wet socks. Then wonder aloud, why am I now enjoying myself? I usually love this show. Story 15. Like a big black shadow wrapped you up and closed the drawstring. Story 16. Imagine being a kid waking up on your birthday. Nobody says happy birthday to you, gives you presents, or truly acknowledges your existence on that day. It is a regular day to everyone else, but to you, it is everything because it is your life. Every year, you hold on to the hope that maybe one day they will remember, but it never comes. Eventually, you realize it never will and you lose that hope. Perhaps this is a difficult way to express it. Story 17. It feels like you are sad all the time, so you keep yourself busy to avoid sad thoughts. Story 18. Doing the best you can and only doing it for the ones you love and who love you, not for yourself but for them. Story 19. Depression felt like I had darkened tunnel vision. All I could see was the end and how I could get to the end. It was a scary time. I thought about how easily you could turn a car off and be in silence, but then be left with no key and no way to turn the car back on. I am not sure why that snapped me out of it, but it did. I think about it every time I drive that car. Story 20. Life can be very difficult. I try my best to be grateful because it could be a lot worse, but I should not be living like this. Story 21. For me, it is probably losing interest in the things I used to love. Story 22. I feel that everything is annoying and I want to vent. Story 23. Like nothing matters. Nothing brings joy. Things you know you are supposed to love elicit zero response. It is not the feeling of feeling sad. It is the feeling of feeling nothing. Story 24. You look forward to taking naps to pass the time. Nothing seems exciting anymore. You think about everything that could possibly go wrong. You just want to sit in silence and not be bothered by anyone. Story 25. Like being stuck in fog. Sometimes the fog is thicker than at other times. Story 26. I want to live and feel all the shades, tones, and variations of mental and physical experience possible in my life. And I am horribly limited. Sylvia Plath. I chose a quote that starts with I want because even though we are depressed, we still want things to get better. People forget that about us. They think we have resigned to this. That is disgusting of them. No one would choose this. Story 27. I am at the bottom of a deep hole, and not only am I not trying to climb out, but I am also not trying to ask for help. Story 28. Staring at the ceiling, feeling empty, and thinking of nothing. Story 29. Lack of motivation to do much of anything, loss of interest in activities you enjoy, and constant sadness. Story 30. Imagine walking around with a 60-pound weighted blanket on you at all times that nobody else can see, and everyone dismisses as not a big deal. Story 31. It's that one day you know is going to be tough and long, that you know you will have to fight just to get through, but it is every single day. Story 32. Hopelessness. Without depression, when things are not going well, you just figure it will eventually get better. With depression, it feels like it will never get better and you cannot see a way out of it. Story 33. Tired to my very bones, my brain is mush, my libido has disappeared. I do not care about anything. I have never felt suicidal, but if I were to just stop living, that would be okay. To put it into one word, it feels like a great big meh. Story 34. Horrible. There is nothing cute or romantic about it. It is not a superpower that gives you a sharper view of how things work in the world. You just hate everything and do not have the energy to even do your favorite things because you have no idea why you should even bother. You do not want to be alone, but also do not want to talk to your friends or family. Watch television. Forget that. Even your favorite show sucks, and everything reminds you of all the terrible things that have ever happened to you. Listen to music. Same. Just close your eyes and do nothing? That just makes you think, and the last thing you want to do is think. Masturbating? If you can even get aroused, it will probably end in a disappointing orgasm because your mind keeps wandering. Go outside and maybe see a movie or visit an amusement park or just have a stroll in the woods. Forget that. Your brain will find reasons to hate it anyway. Even minor inconveniences, like when your favorite snack is sold out at your local grocery store, might lead to a fit of rage followed by extreme defeat. If you could, you would rip yourself out of your body because you feel so trapped in it. The best you can do is try not to jump in front of a moving train, and being able to do that might actually give you some fulfillment. But probably a nice suicide would as well. Seriously, depression is absolutely devastating, and everybody who tells you that it is not that bad or that everybody feels sad once in a while does not suffer from it. Story 35. I would say that you feel completely down about your entire life and no longer feel anything at all. Story 36. I think I definitely had depression in high school. I didn't realize it and thought that was how everyone felt. I felt like everything was boring, a hassle, and not worth it. Waking up in the morning was torture, and I had no energy to do anything but play video games. Felt like everyone hated me. Felt like dying would be a relief from continuing to live, and I could not even begin to imagine living a long life. I guess only women could relate to this, but think intense, prolonged premenstrual syndrome with more cynicism and less sensitivity, or crying about everything because you do not care. Story 37. It is easier to explain what depression does not feel like. What people do not realize when they do not have depression is that all day, every day, your body releases a tiny bit of happiness to celebrate the little things that make you a functional human being. You wake up, your body says, "Good job." You walk into the bathroom and brush your teeth. Your body says, "You are a rock star." You have a shower, your body says, "You are amazing." It is just a tiny bit of reward, but it is there. When you suffer from depression, none of that happens. For me, I could not crawl out of bed until it got so close to the point of losing my job that a burst of adrenaline would pump through my body. Panic, instead of reward, was what got my motor running. Depression is not feeling sad. Depression is having no motivation, no reward for doing all the tiny little things. It is a kind of emptiness. Story 38. A dark fog of fear and hopelessness hides the true path you know is there but cannot see. You end up despising yourself and doubting your own judgment. You feel ashamed and do not want anyone to see you that way, so you withdraw. This makes everything darker and lonelier. And you have no one to guide you out of the dark. I had to systematically discard anything that contributed to the darkness. I gave away my dark furniture, stopped playing depressing music, avoided the news and negativity, and gave myself permission to walk away from any toxic conversation at will. The biggest change was to avoid alcohol because it is a depressant. It was very seductive for a while because it numbed the pain, but I could not find my way out until I gave it up. It also occurs to you that you do not do the things you enjoy anymore. When you ask yourself why, the answer from the dark cavern of your mind is that you do not deserve it. You realize the call is coming from inside the house, and you have to guard your mind against yourself. Story 39. Being sad about nothing and everything. Thinking about anything is hopeless. Considering doing things is overwhelming. Everything is insurmountable, no appetite. Story 40. A desire for nothingness. Nothing matters, so you do nothing. All day, all night, nothing. No desire for anything else. Story 41. Colors look like monochrome images. Other people appear like dolls opening and closing their mouths without saying anything. You try to prioritize basic tasks only to discover that you are now failing at even those. Erratic brain activity happens with an unconnected line like distant echoes. You discover that time is the only way forward while opportunities slip away. The good news is that when you reach an acceptable comeback, people will not understand or care what happened to you. However, they will use it as leverage to point out that you have proven yourself unstable and unreliable. You find the source of your depression and change your life. You are at square one, wiser than last time, knowing that you now have an edge to avoid and overcome it if it returns. Story 42. High-key, Big Mouth actually has a pretty accurate depiction of depression. Depression is literally just like a giant cat that emotionally manipulates you into going to bed and then lies on top of you so you never feel like getting up. Story 43. Like the Dark Souls 2 game trailer when the displayed character is kneeling on the ground with arrows all in him and looking up at the sky. In this context, it is like constantly struggling not to go hollow. You are still alive but so tired and feel like death, and giving up seems like a rest compared to trying to keep moving forward in this state. Story 44. Like you cannot breathe and you want to cry and sob until you cannot anymore. Story 45. I really have no idea how to explain it to my family. Reading these comments actually provides clarity. Story 46. Lying on the couch binge-watching a show you have no interest in or care about, but there is no incentive to change programs or do something else. Story 47. Exhausting. I just remember being tired all the time. Sleep felt like my only friend. Story 48. There are many ways to describe it. It feels like a giant sitting on your shoulders, making it impossible to do anything. Everything is gray, muted, and washed out. There is no joy, no excitement, nothing to look forward to. Even things that normally brought happiness are no longer interesting. There is no motivation, no drive, no energy to do anything to improve your situation, even when you know exactly what could help. It is difficult. Thankfully, these days I am not as bad off as this, but it can get very miserable. Story 49. Too tired to do anything. Anxious because I am not doing anything. Repeat indefinitely. Story 50. At its worst, it felt like having the influenza virus with no ability to enjoy anything and a feeling of worthlessness and sadness. Story 51. It is putting on a mask that you are okay. But in reality, you are in a dark place that you do not want to be in. You do not know how you got there, and you do not know how to get out. Story 52. Nihilism, apathy, and exhaustion. There is no sadness or happiness, only indifference. Story 53. Like an old friend who does not want to leave. Like my worst enemy gleefully waiting for things to go wrong. Like a big circle of a road going nowhere. Story 54. Feeling energetic in your mind but overwhelmed and tired. You become anxious lying in endless darkness, as if an elephant is sitting on your chest. Story 55. Exhausting. Heavy. Always too much or too little, whether sleep, food, personal hygiene, work, or play. Apathy. Story 56. Edvard Munch captured the essence of depression in the scream. Depression is like the Pink Floyd lyric that says you shout and scream, but no one seems to hear. With depression, the screaming is internal. Some people still function and keep up appearances, while others collapse. Both groups experience the same torment. People are shocked when cheerful people jump off a high-rise but consider it expected when someone has visibly collapsed. Depression is insidious and takes many forms. Keep your loved ones close and stay informed about what is happening in their lives. Attention to subtle differences may ultimately save a struggling person's life. Story 57. Tired, numb, and unable to rest. A lot of indifference involved. Story 58. You know that feeling when you are hungry, but none of your available food options sound appealing? Apply that same concept to all of your emotions and every interest you theoretically have. Story 59. A dark room with nothing in it, just your thoughts in your head. Story 60. You want to do something to entertain yourself, to occupy yourself. But what? All of the suggested activities do not interest me. All of the things I used to enjoy, I no longer feel like doing. Any new activity that might interest someone else does not appeal to me. It feels like restlessness, a desire to be engaged, but then rejecting every possible way to achieve that because I do not feel like it. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.